I'm Chris Bias. Welcome to Catching a Predator. Our predator today is Chris Hansen himself.
So here's the idea. So, Chris Hansen's to Catch a Predator. Going like a normal episode. Chris Hansen walking in. Everybody thinks he's just doing his job. Chris Hansen walks behind the curtain to get into the production room. But then, all of a sudden, he walks back out with the papers. Nobody else has entered the room, and he sits himself down in the corner with 2 stools. So, what we're imagining here is Chris Hansen is just... Chris Hansen actually comes clean about all of his sexual assaults during his career. And he just sits down and he's like, well, I never expected to see you here, Chris. And it's like the episode where the guy walks in and immediately strips. He goes back to the door to walk in again, strips his clothes off, sits back in the seat, and he's like, who are you? And it's like, well, I'm Chris Hansen.
I'm Chris Hansen.
And this is To Catch a Predator. And every time he switches between the stools, arguing with himself, he's putting his clothes back on. Taking them off again. And Chris Hansen... Oh, God, voice. Chris Hansen... is like, you realize how this looks, right? And it's like, he quickly goes back to the other seat, takes off his clothes again. Well, I was just trying to teach this girl about the dangers of meeting up with guys online. And it's like, he goes back to the other seat, and he's like, but you...
Like, I know, but you know what this looks like.
You know what this looks like right now. He switches back. He's like, I didn't bring condoms or anything. I swear. I didn't mean to do anything. I'm not that type of person. And it flips back. He's got his clothes on again. And he's like holding more papers. He's slamming them off his hands. But you realize...
This looks like Chris. You know what you did.
He's like, listen, Chris, I know what you're trying to say to me here, but the evidence we have points to otherwise. You've sent a lot of messages to this girl, Chris.
He even says, "Do you want me to bone?"
You have explicitly said this, Chris.
I hope the redhead that's in the background, that's usually the one texting, is just extremely confused because it's Chris Hansen's number. Like, messaging him, it's like, Chris, what are you doing? And it's like, have you ever had sex before? It's just like...
Have you ever had sex before? Followed by, oh, by the way, show up for work early tomorrow.
It's like Chris, she texted back and like, Chris, stop playing games. And it's like, well, have you? And it's like, she's just reluctant to do it, but she's like, I guess we got another one, boys. And then she's like, no, I've never had sex before. My dad tells me it's really dangerous. And then it's like, Chris Hansen's just like, well, have you ever wanted to? And
We're at the steakhouse tomorrow, by the way.
Well, have you ever wanted
to? This lady is extremely confused, looking around at everybody else in the production studio like, yo, what the hell's going on here? She's just rolling with it like, I guess I have sometimes. And Chris Hansen's like, well, I can make that happen for you. And this lady, I hope she's just like looking back in realization like, I always knew this guy was a creep.
Every day I'd go into work, he'd give me this look.
And I hope, like, after all of this, he, like, walks up to her, asks her for the evidence against him. Sets it all up on his clipboard for the next day. And that's how we get into the situation of him arguing with himself. He, like, this lady's probably just really confused on what the hell is happening. Chris Hansen's like, well, I heard we got reports of another predator yesterday. Do you think I can have the info? And she's like, Chris, I thought that was you. And it's like, we don't talk about that. Now give me the information.
Organization that every member that was on scene that day is Chris Hansen.
And yeah, everybody is
every member of the police force.
The girl rips off a latex mask to reveal it's just Chris Hansen.
It's actually just a big scheme where everybody on the show was Chris Hansen the entire time, and they realize he's turning himself in, and everybody just realizes this is the end. Everybody's gonna know. It's all a lie. Chris, you can't be doing this right now. I gotta do it, Chris. We gotta do it, Chris. I can't do this anymore. They caught me with tax fraud. I can't do this anymore.
My checks, they all bounced.
If they're gonna send me to prison, they're gonna send me there for a long time. You hear me?
If they're gonna take me for the they're gonna take me for the checks. They might as well take me for this one too, Chris. It's just like hyperventilating, having a seizure or something.
He picks up the stool and just throws it out of the sting house.
He's like, listen to me, Chris.
He knows the jig is up.
He like calls all of the Chris's in the room to attention. It's like, we had a good long run, Chris. Chris's, Christine's, whatever you are.
Chris I.
Chris I. I'm afraid it's the end now.
And listen, I hate doing this as much as you guys do, but it's time. 24 hours pass. He walks into work like nothing happens. Whole scene unfolds with him getting the clipboard out and arguing with himself. Chris, why are you here today? I already told you I just wanted to teach this lady the dangers of meeting people online. But how do you explain these texts, Chris? I didn't realize I sent those. Whoops, I thought I was talking to my girlfriend.
Chris, you outright said, wanna bang.
I see in this photo, the text actually states, have you ever wanted to have sex before?
I never said, it was just a general question.
It was a social experiment, I swear, Chris. I didn't mean that, and I see here you sent a dick pic, Chris.
And you requested boobs and vig pig.
Send the bobs and the vag. Give my bob.
You know what you did, Chris Hansen. Accept it.
It's like, no, Chris, I would never do such a thing. You know me, Chris. We're friends, Chris.
Chris, I never expected you to do this. Chris, it doesn't have to be like this, man. You can just pretend this never happened.
He's just like, Chris, please let me off the hook this once.
Chris, it's not what it looks like. I swear, I didn't come here with the intents of having sex with this woman. But
I just said it, and then I was gonna do a big Joey salad surprise on
It was a bait and switch, man. I was gonna get her hopes up, and then I was gonna go all Smokey the Bear on her and give her this life lesson. Tell her, you shouldn't be talking to guys on the internet like this, Chris. Chris, you should know.
Have you ever heard the best way to teach a child is to scar him for life?
Chris, I'm gonna have to ask you a few questions. So, you're sticking with that you did not have any intents of having sex with this girl. No, I would never have sex with a 13-year-old girl. I didn't. Chris, this isn't how it's gonna be. It wasn't how it was meant to be, Chris.
It wasn't gonna end like this. It ended that way. I'm sorry.
Well, if you say so, but can you explain these texts? Well, you see, I was sleeping, okay, and I fell asleep on my phone, and
It just kind of typed itself in. It was a conspiracy. I
think Chris Hansen was behind it. I think I was set up by Chris Hansen.
I remember one night Chris Hansen said, "Hey, I'm Chris Hansen. I'm innocent. I'd never do such a thing." And Chris Hansen said, "Oh, that's only for now. Just wait up, but I'll show you what it's like to be on my side of this, Chris Hansen."
All those people you've been exposing over 20 years, Chris. It's time for you to learn. You're gonna know how it feels. I know all the stuff you've done, Chris Hansen. But I think my favorite part about this is, like, say he didn't confront all of the Chris's about this plan, and he just walks in and immediately walks back out, not saying anything. And that's how the interview starts. You've got, like, the hidden water bottle camera in the cupboards, and it's like Chris Hansen accidentally looks directly at his own camera, realizing that he set up himself.
He's like, wait, do I not want to get caught? Why did I set this up?
Oh my god.
And when he finally goes to jail, when they finally frame him, the police turn out to all just be Chris Hansen.
Yeah, when all the questions are over, Chris Hansen's like begging himself if he could leave, like, oh, come on, man, I know there's cops out there, can't I just go out the other door? Listen, you know what you've done. It's time. No, Chris, please. I don't want to lose my family. I don't want to lose my kids, my car, my women. I can't do this. Chris, I can't do this.
Chris Hansen doesn't want to lose his 13-year-old.
The other ones were better than this one anyway. This wasn't worth it.
This entire time, Chris pulls that guy that brought the girls the sheet pizza. But Chris Hansen slides out like a full sheet pizza from under the table, offers himself a slice of pizza. Just like, can I at least take the pizza with me? No, you may not. You must leave all of your belongings here. Can I at least get dressed? You put yourself in this situation. You have to go, man.
He just handcuffs. He just goes outside completely nude. And then he just gets in a police suit.
Chris Hansen tries to make a run for it, and the guy in the ghillie suit on the sidewalk's just really confused, like, wait a moment. Chris Hansen! Like, runs out, tackles Chris Hansen to the ground. Chris, oh my god, but gets taken in, they find, like, multiple, what are they called, what are the drugs that make you horny?
I was gonna say roofies, but I saw it in Hitman Blood Money.
Whatever.
Just a sec, I'll get you this information.
It started with, like, I remember it's like an item in Hitman Blood Money. It starts with, like, an A. The Bill Cosby.
Ecstasy.
No! No!
E.
It's like an actual thing. Whatever. But they just find tons of purple drink and condoms stashed in his trunk. Like, oh, that's not what it looks like, I swear. Ugh, Chris, it looks like this is your last rodeo. They find, like, several teenage girls stuffed in under the seats, like hidden compartments. Chris Hansen. Those are my daughters, I swear. I did not.
They weren't behaving, I was teaching them a lesson.
Yes, we didn't have enough room in the car, so I had to improvise. Chris Hansen's taken in, they're like taking his fingerprints and stuff. He's like getting interviewed by another Chris Hansen. Like,
there's a Chris Hansen in a deputy uniform.
No, you just got like the lawyers. The lawyer is a Chris Hansen in the jail cell. Chris Hansen's actually no, it's just another situation where he's his own lawyer, just still flipping back and forth.
The judge is also Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen, I find you guilty to prison for 55 years. No, Chris Hansen, please have mercy.
Chris Hansen, just like, oh my god, I can't breathe. Chris Hansen is like, the jury is Chris Hansen, the judge is Chris Hansen, the judge's side hand or whatever is Chris Hansen.
The bailiff?
Yeah, he's actually just like running through the jury and everything. He's just trying to take up every seat at every moment, just trying to be everything, like a one-man band except his own court trial.
At the end of the episode, you just see Chris Hansen in his finished cell with just with an officer with the handcuffs, who's also Chris Hansen in front of the cell.
The sheriff or whatever that he usually interviews is Chris Hansen, and it's like revealed at the end of the series. This guy pulls off his mask and he's like, the real Chris Hansen, orange jumpsuit, is like, well.
And then it's all the past criminals from all the past episodes, and they all simultaneously peel off a mask to reveal
they're all truly Chris Hansen. And I hope that the real Chris Hansen also peels off a mask, and it's just another Chris Hansen.
with like slightly more facial hair.
Well, Chris, what do you think about this case? Well, Chris, it just goes to show that you can't trust everybody out there on the internet, and some of this stuff really disturbs you. Like, man, I never expected you of all people. I've been doing this with you for 25 years, and I never knew it. You just proved the point, man. You can't trust everybody, and I would hope the kids at home would realize never trust Chris Hansen, and yeah, that's all I really have here, Chris. Well, what do you have to say about this, Chris? Well, Chris, I think this is a really scary situation for all of us, and I would say if I could redo it all, I wouldn't do this again. But
it's too late for me.
Oh yeah, it's a little too late, and I learned my lesson, Chris. Well, I hope you realize what it's like to be on the other side of the interview now, Chris. It's been a nice run. No one expected it. It's been you this whole.
And then suddenly, all the walls go up, and the curtain rises, and there's a play, and everyone.
Yeah. The crowd.
The entire audience is
Chris Hansen.
The entire audience is Chris Hansen. There's just one guy. There's just one mysterious guy in the back with a Chris Hansen mask on.
And he feels.
Chris Hansen's like, who's that guy in the back with the Chris Hansen mask on? He just goes up and he pulls off the mask to reveal he's also Chris Hansen.
But this one's like cyborg Chris Hansen, where like half of his
missing
face.
An eye.
I am Chris Hansen from the year 2052. Show will reboot. Will not be caught. Chris Hansen. Chris.
I am Ultimate Chris Hansen.
Alright, I've gotta go.
Oh my god.
Guys, I have to go to bed now.
I'm so glad we could share this experience of Chris Hansen.
I'll be watching out for this video tomorrow.
Oh
This better be up.
Oh my god. So, you can leave now, but I have to ask Chris a few more questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So, at like, what point do you think in his career Chris Hansen just realizes that he has to like turn in the towel, reveal that he's been all of the sexual predators on the show for years, and then you just find out at the end it was all a lie. It was all Hollywood. There was no bouncing checks. There was no How to Catch a Predator. It was all just perfectly crafted by the man, the legend, Chris Hansen himself.
It'll be the end of the 99th season. Actually, no, the 69th season. That's when he'll decide enough is enough. He has to come clean.
Oh my god. Chris Hansen, man. I hope, like, the bounced checks were actually just something to, like, try to distract everyone from figuring out that he is actually, like, a sexual predator or something.
Any lollies he saved, he made into his own.
And you just no, the Sting house was actually just on the play or on the set of a play the entire time. Oh my god. And that's
To catch a predator is useful.
and that's the story of Chris Hansen, kids. Oh my god.